thank you for joining us. My name is Tyler Hemish. I'm with MatBoss. If you're unfamiliar with MatBoss, MatBoss is a video tool for high school and wrestling coaches across the country, with girls coaches and middle school wrestling programs as well too. Also, we have a secondary product as well in track and field called TrackBoss. So if you hear us referencing that as well, that's our secondary product in the sport of track and field. But thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Joining us today is Cannon Dean. Cannon's with Team Fi. Cannon's a past wrestler as well. We've chosen to partner up with Cannon and his company at Team Fi because the biggest thing that we hear about all the time from our customers is, the biggest barrier for a wrestling coach anyways is their budget and trying to raise funds and all the hurdles that comes with. So Cannon, thank you for joining us today.
Hey, glad to be here, Tyler. Thank you.
Absolutely. So guys, over the next 30 minutes, we're going to talk to you guys about how to fundraise smarter, how to solve those challenges that you may come across, and how to hopefully make fundraising easier for you and put more money in your pockets at the end of the day. So Cannon, would love to hear your backstory a little bit of how and why you started Team Fi.
Yeah, so I grew up in Lowell, Michigan, where I wrestled and played football. I mentioned Lowell is quite a strong wrestling tradition in our small town. And that's really kind of the genesis of Team Fi. So when I grew up, my dad was my football coach and my uncle was my wrestling coach. And so I've always been involved in high school athletics. And about 3 years ago, my dad came to me and was like, dude, I'm sick and tired of running fundraisers where I don't keep all of the money. Can you and your brother, he knew that we were developers, can you make me something that lets me cut the middleman out? Because I'm sick of paying fees and I want to keep all my money in my community. And so that's how Team Fi was born. Team Fi, the premise of Team Fi, all of our different fundraisers, is we're going to charge you nothing. You're going to pay just the processing fees, and you're going to end up netting a lot more as a result. And so that's kind of the premise we were founded under. That's our whole goal, is to help you keep more money. We have a lot of different fundraising styles. They're all digital. I'll kind of get into more of them as we go. But Tyler, I think that's the most important point to take home today, is that everything you're going to do, you're going to keep roughly 96.5 cents on the dollar. You're going to pay just Stripe's payment processing fees. So,
got it. Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Traditional fundraising for the most part has included a variety of different things and what teams are doing, but it's really manual labor at times, or it's labor intensive, I should say, or time consuming, with not a huge return on the investment and the time that you spend. And so on top of why, like, your dad had reached out to you and why you kind of started it that way, what else kind of sparked Team Fi's creation, and how else is that helping teams kind of cut out some of that manual time and the time they're spending doing that?
Well, I think what my dad was latching on to is, he had used some products where it was all digital. And that was kind of that first wave during COVID where it was like, hey, people realize, hey, we don't have to sell the crap, the junk. People really just want to donate to us. And because we can't go to door during COVID, we can kind of get away with just asking for money. And I think that trend has persisted. And what Team Fi helps you do is run those kind of digital fundraisers at a fairer price, right? And so I would kind of just harken back to that kind of lesson we learned, so to speak, 5 years ago, where we're like, oh wow, we don't actually need to go through all this effort to sell the popcorn and the coupon books, so to speak. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when you talk about digital fundraising and like crowdfunding and stuff like that, can you get into a little bit of exactly what that means?
Well, yeah. So a digital fundraiser at its best is really going to be just your athletes asking for money. And so on a Team Fi crowdfunding campaign, which is our original product, we do several other digital fundraisers, but on a Team Fi crowdfunding campaign, you're going to make a page for your team that takes about 30 seconds. You just brand it with a logo and a team name. You invite your wrestlers to join. You do that via sharing a sign-up link. They're going to be asked to create a profile. They'll do that via uploading a photo and inviting people to donate via text message. You'll see that they've done that they've gotten ready to participate, and then you'll launch your campaign. A standard campaign on our platform is going to run for 2 weeks. Over that 2-week period, we'll send out a series of text reminders on behalf of the athletes asking for donations to their page. You'll raise anywhere from $200 to $400 an athlete, sort of the nationwide average. You'll wrap up at the end of the 2-week campaign, and we'll either mail you a check or do direct deposit. And again, on a 50-person wrestling team, you'll raise anywhere between, I don't know, 10 grand, 20 grand, and net 96.5% of that. So that's sort of our base fundraiser there, Tyler.
Got it. Yeah. And, I talk to coaches all day, every day, and it seems like there has been a lot of different new online fundraising things that have come about. And the part that always irks me is the cut that you're given to those companies and those organizations, right? And I hear everywhere from 10% to 20, and it depends on different thresholds of the amount of money that you've raised, or, other ones they're signing on with an entire school. And if you're using other products and you're paying for other products that they may have, then they reduce that fee that they take. So there's a lot of different options, but at the end of the day, it's still coming down to a portion of money that you're giving back to them just to host that fundraiser for you. And so I think what we found most intriguing, with your guys, is that the team deserves 100% of the money that they're raising, right? And it, even as somebody that would donate to a program, if I know I'm giving $100, to my nephew for his team, and I find out that $20 of that, right, 20% of that is going to just, I want to figure out a way around that, right? Like, can I just mail you a check? Can I give you, but then all of a sudden you're dealing with, the monetary part and like getting deposits and doing all of that type of hassle as well too. And so when you say the 96% or higher, I mean, it's just the credit card fee, and that kind of comes standard with anything that you're using a credit card payment for. And so that's most intriguing for us to hear, and it makes it easier for us to kind of push people to use TeamFi and help them just raise more money and make sure that money stays with them and in their program.
That's right. Yeah, it's kind of defeats the purpose if you end up having to mail a check to get around the cut that someone else is taking. So
yeah. Now, kind of talking about other fun, before we dive more into exactly how TeamFi works and whatnot, there's a lot of fundraising options, right? And I think there's pros and cons to different ones. I still play in golf tournaments that are fundraisers, and I will still buy every card sale thing that comes through my neighborhood. And there's benefits to some of that, right? Like I like how teams are including their alumni at a golf event, and it's a way to be able to get in front of and see people and things like that too. So I totally get that. But it also comes with a lot of headaches and a lot of work to get set up, right? And so I think there's other ways to be able to engage your alumni and everyone else too. And some of that we'll get into when we talk more about TeamFi, but there's a wide variety of different fundraising out there. So I'd love to chat a little bit about kind of maybe one of the wildest ones you've heard from people of different ways people are raising funds.
Yeah. So one of the options you can do on the TeamFi platform is not just straight crowdfunding, but you could also do an a-thon. And so what I mean by a-thon is like that's your lift-a-thon. If you're a basketball team, a free throw-a-thon, maybe you're doing a walk-a-thon, where people are allowed to not just donate to you, but also pledge to some action you're doing. So in a lift-a-thon, it'd be per pound benched, right? Or per pound squatted. Hey, grandma, I think I'm going to bench 225 pounds. Would you pledge to me? She can kind of put that in her app. Our app's going to forecast how much she owes. Okay, bucket that for a second. We actually worked with a wrestling team in Southern Indiana. Coach came to me. I met him at the Indiana Wrestling Coaches Conference, and he said, "Hey, we do a slam-a-thon every year.
Slam-a-thon.
Do you think we could do that on your platform?" And I was like, well, yes. The text is dynamic. You can do whatever kind of a thon you want, but coach, you got to tell me what a slam-a-thon is. And a slam-a-thon is he has every wrestler do mat returns for a minute, and you're pledging per mat return, or in other words, a slam, right? And so we did it for him. He ran it on there. Because the text is dynamic, it said grandma saw how many slams each wrestler was projected to get. I think he actually put a video on his page showcasing a kid doing a mat return, so grandma would understand kind of, and people were allowed to pledge per slam. That is hands down probably the most creative fundraiser we'll probably ever see, and actually, I'm happy as a wrestler that a wrestling team owns that one. I
Yeah.
don't think anybody will come up with something better than that.
Yeah, that's great. You'd also hope by the end of your slamathon, everyone's still healthy to compete, right? And continue to practice. So that's funny. I mean, getting in workout a part of it as well too, and just praying you're not breaking anything on the way down each time. Yeah, and I mean, there's tons, right? The card sales stuff, the coffee popcorn, selling ads, and obviously a lot of teams that host events, it may be a wrestling tournament or a track event or whatever it may be. They're raising funds with hosting those type of events as well too. But I guess other ones I've heard about is like there's teams that do meat raffles. There's teams that sell quarter of a cow or quarter of a hog, or that they do ATV rides and things like that too, which is a fun experience, right? You sell them on that experience too, but they also come with liabilities and a cut that you're still continuing to do, right? And so you're still paying the butcher for the meat raffle, right? Or you're paying the ATV company to rent those ATVs and everything else too. And so it comes with that, or the teams that still get away with doing like a beer bus, right? There's a liability behind that that also can cause a lot of issues. It's nice to be able to eliminate as well too. And so but it's fun to always hear what teams are doing and how they're trying to raise money. But coming back a little bit now to Team 5, I mean, like the big thing is that what that also does is it takes away your team, or it takes away your parents, and it ties up that time. And may it be training, or may it be whatever else that they can be focusing more on the team. It takes a lot of that time and manpower, I guess, to pull off a lot of that just to raise funds, right? And so, I think that there's an easier way, right? And that easier way is through kind of what you've developed. So kind of walk me through a coach is interested in learning more about Team 5. What's kind of that first step, and how does that work with you now?
Yeah, great question. So the first step always starts with signing up for a demo on our website. You'll see my calendar there. It's literally scheduling a meeting with me. It's a 30-minute slot, but to be honest, it's going to take about 15 minutes. We'll hop on the Zoom. I'll show you how our product works. I'll kind of explain those steps that I started with at the beginning of the call, right? Hey, step 1, you're going to do this. Step 2, you're going to do this. Step 3, you're going to do this. You'll see how everything works. You'll ask me any questions you have. I think you'll see that the product itself walks you through the process, meaning the steps are in there. So you feel like a self-guided onboarding, and you're like, okay, I kind of get this. It seems, the most common thing I hear from people is, wow, this seems really simple. It is. Then afterwards, I'll give you the login information. So I'll give you the login information, and you can get started on your fundraiser whenever. I most commonly tell people, look, it takes about 30 seconds to set up. It's going to take about a week for your athletes to get prepared. Matter of fact, I was just meeting with another wrestling coach literally 30 minutes before this. He was saying, hey, is it reasonable to think that I could get this done in a week? I said, that's the average time it takes anybody to get off the ground. So I think you're right on schedule. So you'd get your campaign launched. It takes about a week to get launched. Then campaign's going to run for 2 weeks. You'll see your funds collect. We'll give you a receipt at the end of the 2 weeks for your amount less those processing fees. And then we'll get your check mailed or your direct deposit rigged up. And, if you're doing direct deposit, you're going to get those funds in a day or two, as long as they take the clear through Stripe. A check, depending on where you are in the country. We're located in Michigan. So maybe a week tops, but as quick as 2 days. And that's really the process.
For sure. And then as far as so you have three different type of campaigns. Let's talk a little bit about each one of those. So what are those 3 types of campaigns that you guys have?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, Tyler, because so much of what I hear from people is they want novelty, right? You want novelty, but you don't want to do the work to do novelty because, again, you get into the crazier, wackier fundraisers out there. Sometimes it takes more work to do a beer bus than it does to do a digital fundraiser. And so one of the things we've kind of drawn on in our most recent product release is we released a digital calendar fundraiser. And what the digital calendar fundraiser lets you do is you can think about our base fundraiser, kind of the steps I just outlined, and keep them all the same, but just replace a simple donation page with a 31-day month. And so what each kid is going to get is a 31-day month, and your goal is to fill that calendar, that month, with a donation for each day. the people on the call may have seen this done pen and paper style. When you donate the day, you not only leave your name on the day you donated, but the dollar amount you owe is the date of the day. So day 1 of October is $1. Day 2 of October is $2. And that seems like small dollars, but actually if you sum up a 31-day month, you'll raise $496. And so what our app will do for you is track all of that, right? We're going to auto update each kid's calendar. We're going to put the name of the person on that calendar. We're going to track on the back end in real time how each of your calendars are doing. And so you can simply refresh that and see, oh, wow, I'm doing this much. I've raised this much. And again, it's not anything different from our other digital products that we started with, but it lets you be sort of the team in school that's got the, the cool new thing, right? And we've seen that. We launched the calendar fundraiser 8 months ago. It's already become our most popular product. And so, yeah.
And I suppose with that, so you're posting the names on there. I mean, it's able, if I'm sitting there donating for my niece or nephew, I can see what my brother, my dad, or grandma's going to swoop in at the end and make sure she donated the most, right? And so it probably creates a little bit of competition in there too, and being able to select a few days or whatever that may be, which probably helps drive more people that are kind of donating there.
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm going to just share my screen because why listen to me yap about it? You can kind of see what it looks like because, Tyler, you're exactly right. The calendar, the biggest thing is the visual draw, right? So we're looking at a dance team. This is actually a dance team in Charlotte, North Carolina that's using it right now. You can see here Layla, she's a dancer. She put in her photo, or maybe her mother did, and then they branded the calendar at the top. But really the fun thing is you land on Layla's calendar here. You see that she's filled half of her days. You can see who's donated. So Uncle Jay here, Uncle Jay, he did days 2, 4, 5, and 6. Aunt and Uncle Chris and Ron, they've done a couple days. Jamila and Victoria have jumped in, and then even someone who chose not to leave their name, right? And so if I want to get in on the action, maybe I'm her other uncle, I'll come in here, I'll click donate, and I'll select the days I want to do. And I want to fill up, I want to take up some real estate here. So I'm going to do a nice selection of days. So long answer to your question, Tyler, but I wanted to jump in there with a visual.
For sure. And it looks like even if the calendar was full or you only had a couple days left, it looks like you can donate a custom amount or something outside of that calendar as well too, just to make sure that everybody you are sending it to is able to donate, and you can kind of get the maximum amount from them then.
That's right. Yeah, you're not capped. So I said, the sum total of 31 days is 496. That is what you'll raise if you fill it up, but you're not capped out at that at all. If you, that custom amount button lets you go above and beyond. If we looked at the back end of this dance team's fundraiser, you'd see that actually probably 8 people have already gone over 496.
Got it. Now there's got to be ways, with any athlete being competitive, there's got to be ways that like a coach can make a competitive portion of this too, right? And be able to give some sort of reward for those that get their calendar filled the fastest or things like that, right? And so, what do you say about like incentivizing the athletes? Is that important, or what is the best way to kind of get the athletes driven and kind of take ownership of their calendar to be successful with it?
Yeah, so I always say on any demo that the number one best part of a fundraiser, all successful campaigns have some sort of player incentive, some sort of why. And guys, that why can range from anything from this is our culture, this is strong tradition, you are expected to fundraise this much, and there's literally no incentive, right? That works, but only in the best programs, right? Because you've got to draw on that tradition and that culture. Down to a program that's maybe just getting started or maybe hasn't had that tradition or history of success, and you want to have some way to incentivize your wrestlers to fundraise that's outside of that, right? And that can be as simple as, what my dad's team used this year is they said, hey, look, if you get to $500, we're going to buy your player pack for free, right? That $100 gear package you get, right? Very simple, but effective. Yeah. And so I think there's always all the best fundraisers have some sort of why there, right? Whether it is actually a tangible good you're receiving or it is kind of that strong culture in the very best ones.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think it goes a long ways. If I get sent a link on something and it's just a blanket, we're raising money, or if it's we're raising money because we need a new wrestling mat, right? Or we need a new pole vault pit, or whatever that may be. Like this is a desperate need for our team and for our team to be successful. I mean, that has to go a long way, and that why behind that factor of it as well too.
Yeah, that's and there's a distinction there that's important to make. So what I was just talking about is how to motivate your team. But the other aspect that's lost a lot of times in this with fundraising is you need to motivate your community, right? And so the best fundraisers are going to have both parts. They're going to have some sort of player incentive, wrestler incentive to say, hey, look, this is why we want you to raise this much for the team. But it's also going to broadcast that to your large community and say, this is why we're raising the money. And that starts at home, right? It's not, hey, we need to tell everybody in the community we're asking. No, you need to tell your parents in sort of a kickoff meeting of, hey, guys, this is why your wrestler's being asked to raise this money, because your parents are going to be the ones, that are kind of the marginal donor, right? They're the ones on the fringes of the wrestler saying, oh yeah, buddy, you're at $400. Here's your, your great aunt, help, maybe she'll give you $100, right? And so having that why, so that mom and dad know, okay, yep, this is where why we're raising money this year. That's important. I think that's lost a lot of times.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I mean, like, if a kid's asked to dump his contacts and like send it out via text, right? It's just filled with his other buddies and maybe a few others. And so I think to me, it seems like an easy way for a parent to get involved and help raise those funds too. Like, I'm going to use this link. I'm going to send it out to my friends and family, that is always asking how our kids are doing or how, are checking in and things like that. It's an easy way for them to be able to get it, because nowadays, parents have to give so much time back and volunteering and everything else that they're already investing a lot of time. This seems like a pretty simple way to be able to get them engaged and have them help spread the word and raise money for the team as well too.
Yeah, no, the most common thing I hear from parents is, I don't want to sell the junk, right?
Yeah.
Because then I'm going to be the one. I mean, I remember what my mom did, selling subs, right? She was always the one who just bought back the subs at the end. And now we got 20 subs in the freezer. So
yeah. No, I get it. Absolutely. So some of the questions I know that I'm sure you must get asked, because I am thinking about it even right now, is that, so when is timing wise the best time for a team to do one of these fundraisers, right? Is it postseason, middle of the season when everything's going in action, or is it postseason, off season? So when do you see the best time frame for somebody to pull off doing a campaign like this?
Well, so the short answer is you can always run a fundraiser and it will have some sort of success. So I've seen them run all times of the season, off season, end of season, before season. But the single best time period is right at the beginning of the year. So and the simple reason for that is that's when energy's highest. That's when your marginal person on your team is most engaged, right? So don't think about your top, your 14 starters, right? Think about your backups and your backups, right? Near the end of the year, especially if maybe the season hasn't gone the way the team wants, they're just not very engaged. And so running a fundraiser at the end of the year just doesn't make much sense, right? And so you want to maximize success, you want to do it right at the beginning of the year. Now, wrestling's a little strange, and this is true for most winter sports too, in that we just have a longer season than the fall or the spring. And so whereas I would tell a football coach, hey, look, you really want to be doing this in August for exactly that reason, or a baseball coach, hey, you really want to be doing this in March or February down south. I tell a wrestling coach, look, ideally November, but because the season's so darn long and you're going to be going to March, April, you can get away with a January fundraiser and kind of get past that holiday time period and launch it there and still be very successful. I've seen a lot of wrestling coaches on our platform choose to do that. And I think that's fine. That's kind of a unique aspect of winter. Yeah. So
got it. I suppose getting outside of the season too, then you just have the other sports and other seasons that are also doing fundraising, and you're going to just compete with those as well in that area and whatever else is going on. So that makes a lot of sense. I think the one thing about fundraising too is, like, you're selling cards, you're selling a product, and you're selling things like that too. A team that has 70 wrestlers is just going to sell more that way. And so to me, it seems like, and my question for you though, is that this really applies to any size team, right? And you kind of have some metrics around what they should expect based on the size of the team. So what's that difference, I guess, you see between a team that has 15 athletes and 100?
Yeah. So the way I project, and if someone signed up for a demo today and they were asking me the same question, I tell them it's all based on the number of people on your team. And so really what that is like really a range of probably $200 to $400 would be kind of a sweet spot range of like, okay, this is what you'll raise with our product. And so that's a way to think about it. Yeah, $200 to $400 each. We see that push up, in some wealthier areas or more engaged teams where there's a very targeted goal per wrestler. I've seen people raise. We got a softball team down in Louisiana right now, a college softball team that's at $1,000 a person. So a 33-person team who's raised $33,000. The reason behind that, again, is because there's a very targeted player goal there. The coach has said, if you hit $1,000, I will buy you a custom glove.
Oh, wow.
And so another cool incentive idea there, right? And so that's one way to juice up your per player number, is to do some sort of fun incentive. I've seen on that vein, just popped into my head. I know I'm rambling here, but I had a wrestling coach who's used our platform now 3 times. He does a $500. If you hit $500, you'll get a custom singlet, custom championship singlet with your name on it. And so he does that cheap through a local sublimator, right? Not a huge expense. I think he costs him like $50 a pop, or maybe not even that. And he's like, dude, spending 10% of my funds to get this is well worth it. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Before we start to wrap up a little bit here, I guess, what are some of the, maybe 2 or 3 kind of big tips you'd love to leave people with, about fundraising in general, with your platform or elsewhere? What's some pro tips you'd give them about fundraising in general?
So have a strong why, right? So start off with your parent meeting and broadcast that to them so that they can go out and be your ambassadors in the community. Like, this is why we're running this fundraiser. So for instance, guys, we need to replace the mat this year, right? And do that at your parent meeting and make that clear why the ask, right? That's one. Have some sort of incentive for your kids, whether that's, hey, I'm expecting you to raise $500 because we have 20 athletes here. And if you all raise 500, that's the 10,000 we need for the mat, right? That would be kind of towards that culture angle, right? Or it's simply, look, if you get to $500, I'm going to throw you a bone and buy you a custom championship singlet, right? So have some sort of incentive that excites the kids or engages the kids. That's 1 and 2. And then 3, hit your fundraiser in 1 or 2 big swings. So I see a lot of people think, okay, well, we've got a big budget deficit this year. We've got to run many different fundraisers. And I think that's always the wrong approach. I think you want to have 1 or 2, and maybe 3 if you're kind of a year-round program, 1 or 2 or 3 swings, targeted swings at fundraising, and just be done with it. Don't try to run 5, 6, 7 fundraisers, and you just don't spread yourself thin, right? So
absolutely. Awesome, Cannon. So I guess the biggest thing is, it doesn't matter, like with Team Fi right now, it doesn't matter if you're doing a donation campaign, a calendar, or an a-thon of any sort. I think the big thing is that fundraising doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to stand between a coach and their success and their needs for a program. It seems like you guys have kind of buttoned this up and tried to make it as easy as possible for teams to raise the most amount of money and keep the money that they're raising. So I appreciate what you guys are doing. We're excited to be partnered with you and spread the word. I mean, for us, selling a product, it's nice to have a partner that we can trust in you and Team Fi. And so I'm confident in pushing everybody your way as much as possible. So I appreciate what you're doing for sports teams and coaches everywhere.
Hey, thanks, Tyler. Feelings mutual, man.
To schedule a demo with Team Fi or to learn more about keeping 100% of the funds you raise for your team, visit teamfi.works.